This is Harsh Thacker. He's one of Canada's top all-round cricketers. Right now, he's playing for the Vancouver Knights in Canada's T20 franchise competition. The GT20 aims to bring cricket excitement back to Canada by featuring some of cricket's global superstars to entertain its audience. Recently, I was invited to sit in on the G20 press conference starring Harsh Thacker and also CEO Richard Berridge. I was able to ask Harsh about how he found playing in a competition as a Canadian with some of the global superstars, and also speak to Richard about the aims to grow the competition and cricket in Canada.
Let's get started on the questions. Okay, Matt, go ahead.
Matt Bramwell, Alpine cricketer here in Revelstoke, BC. Couple of questions first for Harsh Thacker. 75 from 54 balls against the Mississauga Panthers, plus wickets too. How have you found your performances so far?
It was good to get that. It was the first time I batted in a GT20 game, so it was good to get runs the first game I batted, and obviously bowling. I've been economical throughout the tournament, so it's good. Hopefully, I can just continue and add on, and keep helping the team winning, and hopefully we can make the playoffs and obviously the finals after.
As a Canadian international, what's it like playing alongside global superstars like Fakhar Zaman and Rassi van der Dussen in your own country?
Yeah, it's pretty special playing against like Rassi. I've known Rassi since he came for the first year. I met him at a ground one time, and I saw him pick up the garbage after practice, and then obviously second season I was with him. So, and then when I saw him the first time, I was a fan already. So then to playing with him, and then now actually having a 50-run partnership with Rassi was pretty special. Even Fakhar Zaman, that's really special, because someone like a guy like Fakhar batting with you, or even talking to him in between the wickets. Very special feeling, and you get to learn a lot as a Canadian cricketer. And I think we also have Mohammad Rizwan coming up at the end of the week or something, so that it's very special, and you get to learn a lot from all these international stars.
How do you see this competition benefiting Canadian cricketers such as yourself?
I mean, it's huge. As I said, it's the experience that you gain out of playing with all these international stars. Also, when you go into a tournament like this, the professionalism around it. You get to experience what big, high-end leverage tournaments are like. I went to watch a game one time, and I just saw the amount of excitement and the amount of craze around the ground is pretty special.
And what have you enjoyed the most so far playing for the Vancouver Knights?
I think the team in general, the management, the support staff, I think they're very supportive. They have clear roles for you. They support you every time you go into a game, and they back you to... It's been the same management they've had for the last 3 years, and now I've been part of the last 2 years. So the familiarity of faces and stuff, I think that's key. And obviously playing with international players is pretty surreal too.
Thanks, Harsh. Couple of questions for Richard. Richard, what's your assessment been of the tournament's success so far?
Well, returning after COVID, this is our first edition of GT20 since COVID. We've really put a lot of work into building out the stadium, which looks superb, both in person and on television. We had pretty good crowds in for the opening match last week, and on the weekend. In the week, we play games a bit earlier because we don't have lights at the stadium at the moment. But we've been very pleased with the support on the ground and obviously via broadcast, because this event is being broadcasted all around the world. So we're really looking forward for more, picking up the momentum going in on the weekend, where we expect to really have, sold out crowds. And then, of course, we culminate on the 6th of August, where we have our final. So far, we're very pleased. The play has been very competitive. As Harsh said, he had himself performing quite well on a big stage, as well as a number of other Canadians. And, that is the whole goal of GT20, to give the Canadian players that big stage to play alongside the other international stars. And hopefully in the long run, we can help Cricket Canada to become a full member, and, obviously their players to become some of the best players in cricket.
Just two other questions from me. Firstly, what's been the most rewarding aspect, and what's been the most challenging aspect about running this edition of the competition?
certainly most rewarding is I remember when we posted, our social media team posted a drone shot of the venue, and when I saw how that venue looked as good as any cricket venue you find in the world, I think for us that was very rewarding. The time in which we had to turn around as well, in terms of when we got our sanction to getting the draft, getting the players work visas, getting them here in Canada, that 6 to 8 week period had to be a record period to turn around. And again, that ends up being probably our biggest challenge. You know, it was something that we've been able to achieve, but it was certainly our biggest challenge in terms of getting the guys here in Canada post our sanction, which came very late for various reasons. But going into next season as well, we expect to get all of our sanctions and approvals in pretty early so that we can certainly plan a bit smoother.
With 6 city franchises from across Canada, but all based in Brampton, how do you plan to grow cricket across Canada?
So ideally, we would love to play home and away games. That is not feasible at this stage. We still have a lot of work to do in terms of stadiums and getting the sort of minimum standard stadiums available. I don't want to prelude potentially what we may do next season, but I know that we would love to play some games on the West Coast, if at all possible. So we're certainly looking into 2 venues as our next step, but ultimately we would love to have stadiums established in these 6 cities for the home teams and play home and away. But, you know, I mean, there's a lot of work that has gone into building out this stadium that we're using now, which, as I said, looks really lovely, but takes a lot of time and money to really build out. So I would say baby steps. The next phase would be to get some games on the West Coast, continuing here, of course, in Brampton. We've had great support from the city and the Ontario government. And it's going to need further collaborations between, you know, the cities and governments and even the federal government in order to ensure that we can get stadiums throughout Canada to play.
Wonderful. Thanks, Richard. If you could pick one player anywhere in the world to come play in the G20, who would it be?
That's a good question. No, the thing is that, you know, when you get players from India, you get unbelievable support in terms of the fans coming out and viewership, right? That's just the reality. But we have had some amazing players from all full member countries. I'm talking the West Indies, Australia, England, South Africa. But, you know, when you do, you know, last season we had Yuvraj Singh and what that did for us in terms of viewership and just creating a hype and putting a bigger spotlight on the tournament. I mean, you can't compare it to anything else. So I wouldn't pull a name per se, but I would say, you know, the Asian countries certainly helps us to boost our tournament in terms of viewership and attendance.
Great, thanks a lot, Matt.
This was a really insightful press conference that peeled back the curtain and showed what the experience has been like so far for a Canadian cricketer playing alongside world superstars. Also, from an administrative side of things, which really interested me, in a country that is deemed as an associate nation with limited resources, it was fascinating to hear someone right at the heart of it speak passionately and also with a view of growing it in the years to come. Hearing that filled me with a lot of optimism for Cricket Canada. I just hope that enthusiasm and focus can start to filter down into the community game. A couple of things I just wanted to highlight from the remainder of that press conference that I couldn't bring to you there. So first of all, their viewership with all the broadcast deals, they're hoping to reach 150 million people across the world, which I think is absolutely staggering. They highlighted one of the main challenges at the moment being getting support from government officials to be able to build out this facility that they're currently solely playing at Brampton. Cost them in the region of $2 to $3 million, and beside the pitch and the outfield, it's all temporary facilities. So moving forward, they're really looking to build something permanent at other sites. They don't even have floodlights there right now, hence why you see a lot of these games in the daytime, and 11 o'clock during the week you're not going to get big crowds. They're aware of that. One of the things I was really happy to hear about was how Richard wants there to be a collaboration with the other franchise competitions in the Americas. So that includes the MLC, Major League Cricket, which is actually running at the very same time right now, and also the CPL, the Caribbean Premier League. So rather than competing against one another, Richard wants to see everybody working together. They're already looking towards season 4. It sounds like things were a bit rushed trying to get the competition up and ready this year, because licenses were very last minute incoming, and I'd love to query Richard more on that at another time. There was also some brief discussions around in a couple of years' time they'd like to be playing home and away, and potentially having a women's cricket franchise tournament down the line too. I hope you've really enjoyed this video. There's not been much match footage recently, but I've really been working hard to try and show you guys some of the things going on at the community level, but then also connect it now with the professional cricket here in Canada, because it is a growing scene. If you do have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I will of course answer them, and I'm hoping next video we've got some match footage.